Welcome to the Nordic Venture Show, your speed date with the hottest Nordic innovations and ventures. In this episode, our venture date is with P2X Solutions, green hydrogen, and Power2X in Finland.
Welcome to the deep dive. You sent us a really interesting bunch of updates from P2X Solutions.
Yeah, the Finnish green hydrogen company. They've been busy.
Absolutely. Lots of news articles, announcements,
Yeah.
all straight from them. So our mission today really is to, pull out the key stuff.
Cut through the noise, yeah. Figure out what's actually happening with their progress, their goals.
Exactly. Help everyone understand where they stand in this whole green energy picture without getting bogged down. We'll look at milestones, partnerships, the bigger picture.
Sounds good. It's about connecting the dots, seeing how these individual announcements build their story. And Finland's energy story, too, really.
Okay, let's jump right in then. The
Yeah.
big one. March 26, 2025, the inauguration in Harjavalta.
Right. Finland's first industrial-scale green hydrogen plant. That's a headline.
It really is. First industrial scale. That feels important, doesn't it?
Well-
More than just for P2X.
Oh, definitely. For years, this hydrogen economy idea in Finland, it's been mostly talk, right?
Mhm.
This makes it real, practical. It shows production is possible at scale.
Yeah.
And it could, attract other industries, maybe create a sort of green hub there.
A catalyst. Okay. And then just a month before, February 26th, big news on the funding front.
Yeah, that 60 million euro grant from Business Finland.
But not for Harjavalta,
They're out.
interestingly. This was for Joensuu, a second plant, and making synthetic methanol, too.
Exactly. That tells you a lot about their strategy. They're not just focusing on one place or one product.
Diversifying.
Right. Hydrogen and methanol. Methanol opens up different uses, like liquid fuel for transport, shows they're thinking ahead, looking at different market needs, not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Makes sense. Then, fast forward just a couple of weeks, February 12th, commercial operations start at Harjavalta.
Again, the first in Finland line. They didn't hang about.
No. So, inauguration, then bam, selling green hydrogen. What does that speed tell us?
It shows the plant works, basically. It's not just a pilot project. It's ready to go, ready to supply actual customers. That's a huge signal for credibility, shows they can deliver.
Right. And to make green hydrogen, you need green power, which brings us to January 30th.
The PPA with Fordham, the power purchase agreement.
A 5-year deal. This locks in renewable energy for Harjavalta, right? So they can meet those EU standards for green hydrogen. How vital is that PPA?
It's fundamental. The whole point of green hydrogen is that it's made with renewables, no fossil fuels.
Otherwise, it's just hydrogen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This Fordham deal guarantees that clean energy source. And meeting EU standards, that's not just red tape. It's market access. It proves their environmental claims and lets them sell into that growing European sustainable fuel market. It's a competitive edge.
Okay, let's rewind a little. October 3rd, 2024. They chose an energy management system. ABD ability, Optimex.
Ah, yes. Optimizing the operations.
Seems smart. They're not just making this stuff. They're thinking about how efficiently they use energy. Why is that system important?
Well, efficiency is everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially in energy. Hydrogen production can be energy intensive. So a system like Optimex helps them monitor, manage, control their energy use in real time, cut costs, maybe even make the whole process more sustainable from an energy standpoint. It's about fine-tuning.
And earlier in 2024, May 31st, they brought in Enersense for operation and maintenance at Harjavalta.
Outsourcing the O&M.
Yeah, why do that? Why not keep it in-house?
It lets P2X focus on their main thing, the hydrogen tech, the expansion plans. Enersense are specialists in running plants like this.
So less risk, leverage expertise.
Exactly. Safety, efficiency, keeping things running smoothly. It's a smart move to partner up for that.
Now, this next one feels like a really big shift. April 12th, 2024. Alpic, a European energy company, bought a majority share.
Yeah, that was significant international investment.
A major vote of confidence, surely. What does Alpic's involvement mean for P2X?
It's huge. It's not just the money, although that helps. Alpic has reach across Europe. Infrastructure, market access, expertise.
So it could accelerate their growth beyond Finland.
Potentially, yes. It could open doors to new partners, new customers across the continent. It really positions them as a more serious European player.
Interesting. And around that same time, February 14th, 2024, news about Oulun Energy planning their own big hydrogen plant in Oulu.
Right. Important to note that's separate from P2X.
Yeah, different company. But it shows there's wider interest in Finland, doesn't it? More momentum.
It does. It suggests the whole hydrogen economy idea is gaining traction. P2X might be first, but they likely won't be the only ones.
More players could mean a better ecosystem, shared infrastructure maybe, skilled workers.
Could be. Bit of competition, more innovation. It suggests the sector is growing.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. November 23rd, 2023, they published the SH2RRE2 study.
Ah, the maritime focus. Low-carbon fuels for shipping in the Baltic Sea.
Right, so they're not just thinking about land-based energy. Why look at shipping specifically?
Well, shipping is a massive source of emissions globally, and it's hard to decarbonize.
Tough nut to crack.
Exactly. So this study shows P2X exploring how their green hydrogen, or maybe derivatives like green ammonia or methanol, could work for ships in the Baltic. It's a huge potential market if they can figure it out. Aligns with global goals, too.
And just before that study came out, November 8th, 2023, a different kind of milestone. 500 accident-free days at the Harjavalta construction site.
Doesn't sound as flashy, maybe, but it's really important.
Why is that?
Building a big industrial plant like that, safety is paramount. 500 days without an accident. It says a lot about their safety culture, their procedures, how they manage the project. It's about responsibility.
Good point. And just before that, November 1st, 2023, a concrete customer deal.
Right, the contract with Danisco Sweeteners, an IFF subsidiary.
Supplying green hydrogen to their site, also in Harjavalta. Why is getting an actual customer like this so key?
It proves the concept. Commercially, it shows there's real demand for their green hydrogen right now.
It's not just speculative.
Exactly. A major industrial player like Danisco using their hydrogen to replace, presumably, less sustainable hydrogen. That validates the whole business case. It helps build the market.
Okay, going back further, August 30th, 2023. Delivery of the electrolyzer stacks to Harjavalta.
The heart of the operation.
Explain that a bit. Why are electrolyzers the key bit of kit?
Sure. So electrolyzers are what actually make the green hydrogen. They use renewable electricity.
Like the stuff from the Fordham deal.
Right. They use that electricity to split water, H2O, into hydrogen, H2 and oxygen.
Yeah.
No emissions in the process itself.
So the quality and scale of those electrolyzers is fundamental.
Absolutely. Their efficiency, their cost. It all determines how viable green hydrogen is. Getting those stacks delivered was a massive step for the plant's actual production capability.
And construction milestones kept coming. June 5th, 2023, the plant reached rooftop height, the topping out ceremony.
Yeah, always a good sign in a big build. Means the main structure is up.
Shows progress is on track, moving towards installing all the internal stuff.
Right, a visible marker that things are moving along.
And around then, May 24th of 2023, another contract. Vesilamela for technical building services.
Yeah, the less glamorous but essential stuff. HVAC, plumbing, electrics.
All the background systems needed to make the plant actually work safely and function.
Exactly. You need all those pieces in place.
The SH2R project pops up again, April 26th, 2023. Funding from Ålandsbanken's Baltic Sea project for SH2ORE2.
More support for that maritime research. Shows continued belief in that area.
Seems like a sustained effort there.
Yeah, tackling decarbonization in the Baltic Sea shipping sector.
Then, April 14th, 2023, partnering with Insta for automation and information management.
Right. We mentioned the ABB energy system earlier. How does this fit in?
Good question. How do these systems work together?
Well, the ABB system is really focused on optimizing energy use specifically. The Insta system would likely be broader, controlling the production processes, monitoring data across the plant, managing information flows.
So more overall operational control.
Yeah, they complement each other. One optimizes energy, the other manages the overall plant operation. Both crucial for a modern, efficient facility.
Okay, February 14th, 2023. A different kind of infrastructure news. Plans for a hydrogen fueling station.
In Järvenpää, near Helsinki.
Right. This shows they're thinking beyond just industrial supply towards end use, like transport.
Definitely. Building fueling stations is absolutely critical if hydrogen vehicles are ever going to take off.
The chicken and egg problem. No stations, no cars. No cars, no stations.
Precisely. So P2X, planning a station in the Helsinki region, is a big step. It starts building that essential infrastructure, shows hydrogen can be used practically for transport.
Back to the Harjavalta plant itself, January 20th, 2023, laying the foundation stone.
And the Minister of Economic Affairs was there.
Yeah, that feels significant. What message does having a government minister involved send?
It sends a strong signal of political backing, that the government sees this project as strategically important for Finland's energy goals, its climate targets.
Might help with investment.
Regulations. Could do. It certainly builds confidence, both public and potentially for investors. Shows national importance.
And just before that, January 10th, 2023, the actual construction contract for Harjavalta, signed with Ropaz, P. Suominen and Oy.
A Finnish company.
Right. Using local firms for these big projects must have benefits too.
Yeah, definitely. Good for the regional economy, creates local jobs, builds local skills in this new hydrogen sector. Plus, it can foster better community relations, a sense of local ownership.
Zooming out again, Europe-wide importance. September 22nd, 2022, the project got IPCEI status.
Important project of common European interest. It's a big designation from the EU Commission.
What does that actually mean for P2X?
It's a major stamp of approval. It means the EU sees the project as strategically vital for Europe's green transition, for competitiveness, for jobs.
Does it come with perks? Funding? Easier rules?
Often, yes. It can unlock significant public funding streams and potentially help streamline permits. It recognizes the project's wider European value.
And around the same time, September 15th, 2022, another technology piece, buying synthetic methane tech from Q-Power.
Also a Finnish company.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, showing that interest beyond just pure hydrogen. Why make synthetic methane? What's the advantage?
Well, synthetic methane, which you make by combining green hydrogen with captured CO2, has one big advantage. You can use existing natural gas pipelines and storage.
Ah, so you don't need totally new infrastructure immediately.
Exactly. It makes it easier to transport and store the energy. And it can be used in applications currently running on natural gas, helping decarbonize those sectors where pure hydrogen might be tricky short-term.
Okay, and even earlier, August 19th, 2022, that study with Savan Voima about Joensuu.
The first real glimpse of the plans for that second location we talked about earlier.
What's the point of these very early studies?
It's about feasibility. Checking things out before you commit huge sums of money. Partnering with a local player like Savan Voima gives them local knowledge, what resources are available, what the potential market looks like in that specific region. It's due diligence.
Makes sense. Then June 21st, 2022. Site prep starts in Harjavalta.
Boots on the ground. Moving from paper to dirt. The real start of construction.
A tangible beginning.
Yep.
And before that, May 4th, 2022. Signing a land deal with the city of Harjavalta.
Securing the actual site, another critical step, shows commitment to that location.
Foundational, literally.
Yeah, right.
The maritime theme again, April 11th, 2022. Exploring carbon-neutral shipping options funded by that Baltic Sea project. An earlier phase of SH2ORE.
Shows that interest wasn't new. It's been a consistent thread evolving over time.
A long-term focus.
Seems so.
March 22nd, 2022, the agreement to actually buy the electrolysis equipment.
The core tech supply deal.
And the announcement specifically mentioned boosting Finland's energy self-sufficiency. How does green hydrogen help with that?
Well, if you're making hydrogen using your own renewable energy sources, wind, solar, whatever, you're reducing your need to import fossil fuels, right?
Less reliance on others.
Exactly. Enhances energy security, potentially stabilizes prices, builds up local renewable industries. It's a strategic benefit for the country.
February 2022 looks like they were getting their ducks in a row. Framework agreements with Fimpec and Sweco.
Bringing in the consultants, project management, procurement help.
Recognizing they need external expertise for such a big, complex build.
It's smart. These firms have experience managing massive projects. Helps keep things efficient, on budget, following best practices. Reduces risk.
And then, the moment it all became truly real, February 2nd, 2022, the investment decision.
70 million euros to build Harjavalta.
That's a huge commitment, isn't it?
Yeah.
What does that kind of figure signal?
It signals massive confidence in their tech, their plan, and the future market for green hydrogen. They were willing to take a significant financial leap to make it happen, to establish themselves.
A pivotal moment.
Absolutely.
And finally, winding the clock back to where this phase really kicked off. December 20th, 2021, that public grant.
Around 26 million euros for new energy technology.
That initial public money must have been crucial.
Very likely. Public funding like that often helps de-risk these innovative early-stage clean energy projects. It provides that initial foundation, makes it easier to attract the bigger private investment needed later, probably essential to get the whole Harjavalta project off the ground.
So, okay. We've walked through quite a timeline there, lots of steps, lots of deals. Pulling it all together, what's the big picture? What's P2X Solutions' overall vision here?
Yeah, looking back at all that, they're clearly aiming to be the Finnish pioneer in green hydrogen and this whole Power-to-X thing.
More than just hydrogen production.
Seems like it. It's a holistic approach, right? Production, yes, with Harjavalta operational and Joensuu planned, but also distribution, like the fueling station, synthetic fuels like the methane, even exploring specific uses like maritime.
And they're leveraging that first industrial plant status heavily.
Absolutely. Harjavalta is their proof point. And that target, they've stated 1 gigawatt of hydrogen capacity by 2031. That's serious ambition. Shows long-term commitment to scaling up significantly.
And the partnerships seem key to this whole strategy. We've mentioned quite a few. Can we recap the main types of collaborators they've brought on board?
Sure, you see a pattern. Fortum for the clean energy supply, critical. Enersense for running the plant smoothly.
Technology partners too, like ABB and Insta for optimization and control.
Right. Then you've got the customer side, like Danisco IF, proving market demand. Q Power for the synthetic methane diversification.
Construction and consulting partners were vital early on. Ruopost, Suominen, Vesi Lammila, Fimpex, Sweco.
Exactly. And Savon Voima for exploring the next site in Joensuu, plus the ongoing Baltic Sea project work showing that maritime focus. It's a really broad coalition.
Suggests they know they can't do it all alone, building an ecosystem.
Precisely. Leveraging expertise across the whole value chain.
So we've done this deep dive. For our listener, why does all this activity around P2X Solutions matter? What's the takeaway?
Well, if you're interested in the energy transition, this is it happening in real time. It's not just theory anymore.
A concrete example.
Exactly. P2X's Harjavalta plant is a tangible step for Finland towards building a hydrogen economy, reducing fossil fuel use. Their expansion plans, the move into synthetic fuels, it shows the direction things are heading.
So watching them gives a glimpse into the future of energy and industry.
I think so. It's a significant development, showing how sustainable energy production and industrial processes are actively changing right here in Europe. It's definitely a story worth keeping an eye on.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive today, the main point seems clear. P2X Solutions isn't just talking the talk on green hydrogen, they're walking the walk. Building plants, making deals, securing funding.
They've made real progress, especially with Harjavalta up and running, and they have very ambitious plans looking ahead.
Indeed. And that leaves us with a final thought to mull over.
Yeah, considering how fast things are moving with P2X, what other parts of the Finnish economy, maybe ones we haven't even thought of yet, could soon start using green hydrogen or synthetic fuels? What new possibilities might that unlock? Something to think about as this all unfolds.
Thanks for listening to the Nordic Venture Show. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more stories of innovation from the Nordics.